Babies are being taken out of hospital rooms. People are having to take their kids into hallways to be sheltered in place. This is happening late in the evening. This is live warfare before our eyes.
You want de-escalation? Stop shooting the rockets off. That's a good way to de-escalate this. But you got to actually stop shooting the rockets off first.
Do you believe that we could be heading towards a ground invasion kind of conflict between Israel and Hamas?
There is certainly that risk. The actions to date of the terror regime, the Hamas folks in the Gaza Strip, make clear that they will stop at nothing. Right, they are launching rockets at civilians. When I hear Democrat leaders talk about de-escalation or somehow that these two actors, the Israelis and the Hamas terrorists, there's a moral relativism between the two of them. It is disgusting.
1,050 rockets have been launched at Israel since Monday evening, so about the last 38 hours. 1,050 rockets. Hamas claims it fired an additional 210 rockets towards Tel Aviv directly, so not just into Jerusalem or into the desert or into border towns with Gaza, but also into Tel Aviv. Israel has hit 500 Gaza targets in the past day and a half as part of the, quote, Guardians of the Walls.
People need to understand what a live rocket can do.
I have been in places on my deployments where we were attacked with rocket fire. It is incredibly frightening, and it is incredibly deadly, potentially. All the loss of life, Jay, on both sides is truly unnecessary and regrettable. But here's the thing. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, they're not only trying to keep Jews safe, there are Arabs in Israel who are also under these rocket attacks.
On May 14th, which is just 2 days away, is Jerusalem's Independence Day. So you think they'll be firing some rockets then? Then the next day is May 15th, which is called Nakba Day by the Palestinians. That means the catastrophe. So this is not like something that just de-escalates tonight. This is an uptick in escalation, and the Israelis have got to be able to continue to respond, and they need the international community to tell them it's okay to respond.
With American leadership, we could convince them to do that. I know the Israelis will do what it takes, and they must do what it takes, and they have every right to do what it takes to defend themselves.
Everybody's calling for de-escalation. The fact of the matter is, this is an escalated event, and it's going to continue to escalate as long as Hamas keeps doing what they are doing.
And to their credit, the IDF, when they go in and they attack locations in Gaza, before they attack, they warn the residents where they're going to attack to try and avoid civilian loss of life. And out of the many dead and wounded that the Palestinians are reporting, over 100 of Hamas's rockets have failed on launch, and they explode on the Gaza side, which also inflicts injuries.
The fundamental difference of Israel, which values human life as a policy matter, and Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, which views human life as completely expendable. And that, like Jordan said, that's the reason they put we've seen it, the rocket launchers in civilian areas, usually with children nearby.
They've gotten more and more sophisticated to try and get past the Iron Dome. And who's giving them that sophistication? Iran, and through their proxy Hezbollah, trying to utilize ways to somehow overwhelm the Iron Dome.
There is a report coming out of CNN that the administration is currently considering releasing another $1 billion of funds to the Iranians. And, they're playing the typical game, calling it a goodwill gesture that'll be used for humanitarian purposes. Never mind that we already gave them a pallets full of cash the last time around to enter the deal originally. But my concern is that a release of those funds would just give a green light to those proxies that you talked about for further attacks on Israel.
Every dollar that goes to the Iranians has a significant piece of it that goes either into the pockets of the terrorist theocrats, the Iranian regime, or into the hands of Hezbollah or the Iraqi militias that are Iranian supported, or to places like Hamas and the Houthis, each of whom has genocidal intent with respect to Israel and wants to wipe the United States off the map as well.
You got people like John Kerry running this National Security Council. So they are directly advising the President of the United States. Let's flash back to December 28, 2016, John Kerry.
Here is a fundamental reality. If the choice is one state, Israel can either be Jewish or democratic. It cannot be both. And it won't ever really be at peace.
So I think they encourage this violence.
Yes.
They encourage the violence of Hamas because President Trump's was clear. You want your own place, you want your own country, fine, we will move forward with that, but you're not getting Israel.
As if the Jewish community and Jewish leadership in Israel is not capable of protecting minorities, which they do, more so than any other place in the Middle East, by the way. And the idea that you can't have a Jewish state and a democratic state, to me, is anti-Semitism, as if Jews are not capable of doing that. And I don't know what Secretary Kerry was thinking there, but I think we're seeing those same policies today.
From Carter to Obama, Biden to now Biden, there's this long tradition that does indeed border on anti-Semitism. You can see it. You can hear it in the way they think about the Jewish state, this place in Israel. Those remarks are so troubling. There is one democracy in the Middle East. There's one place where Christians and Muslims and Jews coexist. They can practice their faith in the way they so desire. There's religious freedom. There's a government that is responsive. Those citizens of Israel of each faith get a chance to vote. This is the only place in the Middle East that happens. And for an American Secretary of State to make the claims that he did there is completely outrageous.
Unfortunately, it appears like we'll be entering another evening where rockets will be fired. The Iron Dome will have to be utilized by the Israelis. And the Biden administration has done nothing yet to put this to an end. Like, how about threaten Hamas with U.S. airstrikes? That would probably put it to an end. But no, they won't do that. And the Israelis have to respond. They're being attacked. Any country would do so.